If you understand scotomas, you then realize that's an anchor that's holding you back. Doesn't mean you give up the belief, but what it does mean is that you try and enlarge your thinking so that you can go around it and continue to grow, which is really the purpose of a college education.
You're watching the Spotlight Network, starring Hollywood's newsman, Logan Crawford.
They now believe a single member.
He works with TV and film legends. And now, Logan's shining the spotlight on the world's top emerging authors and creators.
International were abducted.
This is Spotlight with Logan Crawford, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.
I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're talking about personal growth, purpose, and what it really takes to become fully human, fully alive. That's the name of the book that we are exploring today. It is written by one of my favorite guests, one of my favorite authors. His name is Lyle Simpson. And in the book, he shares a practical roadmap for people who feel stuck, showing how to move beyond just getting by into a more fulfilled, energized life. If you're ready to identify what's holding you back and build the path forward without turning your world upside down, this is a book, this is a conversation that's for you. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Studio of Books for helping us put him on TV today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Lyle, thank you so much for joining me once again here today on Spotlight.
I'm thrilled to be back with you. Thank you very much.
Thrilled to have you back on the show. You've done such great work with this book. When you say so many people are stuck, what do you mean? What are you looking at when people say they're stuck? What are the signs of it?
Well, first, people need to understand that what I'm talking about is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow created humanistic psychology. And if you don't mind, let me give a brief explanation of what that means. My undergraduate work was in psychology, and I've been working on that subject ever since for about 60 years now. But it started with Sigmund Freud, who took people with bad behavior and through psychotherapy tried to bring them back to mainstream society. So it started out negatively. And then the behaviorists came along, and they said that all behavior is a result of needs, and the strength of the drive that backs that need will determine your behavior. Maslow was trying to figure out why two of his college professors were such beautiful people. What's the need that's causing that? And all of a sudden he realized we got this whole subject backwards. Those professors are the normal people, and to the extent we have need deprivation, we become abnormal, clear down to the people Freud was dealing with. So he started studying needs, and he was very startled. He realized that there's different drive strengths in needs, but he assumed it was linear. And what he discovered that is unique is that they're layered, and the drive strength of the drives on the lower level is twice that of the next level above. So he started categorizing all of that. And the 6 categories that he now has, although college students will tell you there's only 5 because it was only in his later years that he figured out the 6th that is really important, that makes you fully alive. The first are basic needs, those needs necessary to sustain life: food, water, sex, shelter, warmth. You got a need in that area, it drives your behavior. Once those are satisfied, you secure yourself so that you can satisfy those needs again in the future. But the drive strength on the security level is only half that of on the basic level. Once you feel secure, then you open yourself up to bring other people within your defense mechanisms to share life with them on the social level. Now, 70% of all Americans are stuck on the social level. never realizing there's three levels above them that would significantly enhance the quality of their life. But the reason why they're stuck on that level, well, I'll give you several examples, but the most primary one, religion is a security level need up through about mid social level. And if you've got a strong belief in that area, it's controlling you. It won't let you get beyond that, because particularly if you've got a priest that's using fear or guilt as a defense mechanism, as a means of controlling you. And and most of those needs were developed when you're a small child. And so you got the emotions that centered around your family that produced whatever that need is. And so you don't walk away from that. And I'm not suggesting you have to, but what I am suggesting is that once you realize what those needs are, we can build barriers around them, or around those barriers, we can build bridges, or we can put detours around it. Doesn't mean the belief goes away, it just means it's no longer holding you back. And that's really the important part, but you first have to see it. And one problem we have is called a scotoma. Once you have a belief, it blocks out all other information. You just don't see it. And so the only way you even discover you've got a scotoma is when you get angry or upset because someone has said something to you that conflicts with whatever your belief is. And when that happens, if you understand scotomas, you then realize that's an anchor that's holding you back. It doesn't mean you give up the belief, but what it does mean is that you try and enlarge your thinking so that you can go around it and continue to grow, which is really the purpose of a college education. But many people never get there. And so that's why 70% are locked on the social level today. And that's pretty sad because they're missing most of life that cares beyond that.
So our belief system is very, very important because it dictates, in many ways, the quality of our life.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
No, in fact, it's the goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And uh, people get content. And particularly if you're in middle age, you're securing yourself. You don't want anything that challenges that. And so you continue doing what you're doing. But we've got a problem in our society today. The US Census in 2020 discovered that 27% of all Americans ask their religion, say none. But over 40% of those that are millennials and younger, about age 40 or younger, say none, which means we got a cultural drift. And if you don't have a religion, because Western cultures, that's the social glue that holds us together, then what your glue becomes is what we call groupthink. Whatever everyone else thinks, that's what I'm going to believe too. That doesn't get you anywhere. And another fact that you really need to understand is that our selfishness descends at the same rate. So, you've really got a basic need, nothing's going to get in your way. You're totally selfish. By the time you get to the social level, you share your needs with other people. You have a family, a wife, children, whatever. And so they're within your defense mechanism, and so you're taking care of them too. But selfishness, well, once you really are secure on the social level, you then can enhance the quality of your life. 30% of the American people live above that on the fulfillment level. And so at that level, selfishness has started to decline pretty significantly. Only 6% get above that, where all of their needs are satisfied, and they get to the actualized level where they really are content that life's very good. And of that 6%, selfishness goes away about midway in that actualized level. So about 1% go beyond that to what I call fully alive, where they dedicate their life doing good for other people without any selfish motive. In fact, they don't even need to be recognized. They're doing it because it's the right thing for them to do.
Yeah.
And frankly, what that does do is it gives you a fulfilled life of importance. That's a form of immortality that doesn't go away. I look at Michelangelo and I look at Leonardo da Vinci over 500 years ago. They're still important people.
Mm.
Now, that's an immortality that exists that we can see. Everybody's capable of doing that once they get beyond the selfishness that most of us are living with.
The problem with society, if we move away from religion, is that we're going to become more and more selfish because most religions tell us to put others before ourselves, correct?
That's true. Religion is trying to help you get there.
So
And
to become a self-actualized person without religion can be extremely difficult because you're not looking at the bigger picture. You're not looking for a sense of eternity. You're not looking for those Christ-like values that have been instilled in, most of the world.
well, that's true. It doesn't take religion to fill that gap, but it takes something that's an organized system. And there's something that will help educate you. The Unitarian Church is a good example, or the American Humanist Association is a wonderful example of that. It gives you a value system. It gives you an understanding of what it means to take the responsibility for yourself and do something positive with it.
Mhm.
And so it doesn't, you can call that a religion if you want to. I wouldn't, because I look upon religion itself as directed by somebody with authority. It's got control person, where to be a humanist, for instance, you got to have control of yourself. You don't let anybody else control you. Well, you got to be pretty educated and not selfish to really be one. And so you can call that a religion, but I wouldn't, because it's not an organized structure as such that says you got to believe this or else. But
So there's a good and bad to religion. There's a good to the religion in that you are given a set of values that put others before yourself in many cases, but you're also subordinating yourself to leaders of churches who sometimes deal with fears and control, and that hinders personal growth.
that's right.
Yeah.
That creates an anchor for you that you can't get around very easily without feeling guilty.
Yeah.
And so the first thing you'd have to do, not just use humanism because I'm quite familiar with that. I've been an officer in that organization for 50 years. And but there's a lot of neat people, that you would recognize. My successor is a national president of the American Humanist Association, a guy named Isaac Asimov, who wrote 480 books. Very strong Jew, actually. But he took control of his own life and did a beautiful job. Carl Sagan, the astronomer, very interesting guy. I've gotten to know him pretty well. He's, of course, deceased now, but created the Cosmos series. But he thought outside the box, and yet he had total control of his own life. Betty Friedan, she created the Now Organization of Women. She's probably biggest bitch I've ever met. But in all kindness, you'd have to be to do what she did to emancipate women. But Gloria Steinem, her successor, is a beautiful person, and these are people I know.
Yeah.
Dr. Seuss, Albert Einstein. Everybody that I've mentioned so far is on the growing tip of something because they're trying to make a difference to help the world be in a better place because they've been here. And they're not doing it by control. They're doing it by opportunity and purpose. I've given a third of my professional time away to society one way or the other, uh, only because it's the right thing to do.
What would you say the biggest misunderstanding that people have about what fulfillment actually is?
Fulfillment,
Yeah.
well, making the most out of your life so that you do leave the world a better place because you've been here. Most people don't even think about that. And in fact, one of my publishers is doing a movie script for me right now on my book. And they've got a man and a woman who are in conflict with each other. And they go through therapy and they try and understand better why they're not communicating. And as they do that, all of a sudden they start seeing opportunities out there that they wouldn't have committed themselves to do before. And they start doing them. And all of a sudden their life has a totally different purpose and it feels much better for them. I can give you several examples in my own life. It's kind of where do I start? But seldom do I ever look for recognition for what I'm doing. I created a 130-bed public hospital for psychiatric patients because there's a need there. And I could see it. And, my name isn't on the door. That doesn't matter. I can see people are really getting some help that needed it. I've been a Mason for ever, a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason, but I also belong to the Shrine. I don't know if you know anything about Masonry, but it's the world's largest fraternity. About 4 million members, 2 million in the United States. Masons in the United States give between $2 and $3 million for charitable purpose on a daily basis without ever asking a Mason for a dime. The Shrine comes along, and technically they're a parody on Masonry. Masonry is totally serious, except in the Shrine. In order to have a purpose, the Shrine created 22 children's hospitals around the country where the family of no child ever spends a dime beyond their insurance. The problem that I heard was that the Shrine hospitals are underutilized today. Well, I've been on hospital boards for 50 years. I realize that what they're doing is they're operating on a 45-year-old medical model. 85% of the children that they saw in 2018 had to be on an outpatient basis. They saw 346,000 children. Well, no wonder there's only 2 or 3 children in some of their hospitals because surgery or whatever required that. But what they're doing is spending 80% of their budget on bricks and mortar that's not doing any good. So what I decided to do, I got permission from Unity Point Health. I got permission from Unity Point Health to be able to offer to the Shrine that I would build the very first Shrine Children's Clinic in Blank Children's Hospital right here in Des Moines, so that the Shrine doesn't have to pick up a child in central Iowa and take them to Minneapolis, Chicago, or St. Louis to the nearest hospital. They can bring them right here. And the these are children that blank did not have the capacity to handle before because they're very serious orthopedic problems and they didn't have surgeons and whatever that were in position to take care of them. So the Shrine helped us get some of their doctors to agree to come. Well, that clinic opened. We were ready to open in October 2020. A problem happened because COVID hit and elective surgeries were stopped within our hospital, which blew their budget right out of the window. So they didn't have the money to equip the clinic. But I got a call from a guy who said that he's leaving $1 million and he's in Denver, half for his mother there locally, but the other half he wanted to benefit the Zagazig Shrine here in Des Moines that his father was very active in. So he calls the shrine and he asks for a list of names of who were lawyers within the organization. And mine was the only name he recognized because I was president of the student body at Drake University when he and I graduated together. So he calls me up, he tells me what he wants to do. I said, I got just the thing for you. We named the very first Shrine Children's Clinic in memory of his parents. That gave us the money to equip that clinic. It opened in October 2020.
Wow.
Today, it's outgrown the size of that clinic. They're doing so much good for these kids. And these kids now don't have to be picked up by a stranger taken to Minneapolis, Chicago, or St. Louis. Their parents can drop them right off at Blank Children's Hospital. And think what it does for improving the quality of their life.
Yeah, that's what life should really be all about: empowering others, leaving the world a better place, helping children, helping those in need. Those are great values, and a great sense of fulfillment as well. If you're going to be fully alive, fully human, to have that sense of fulfillment is wonderful, right?
For sure. And they'll never know who I am. That doesn't matter. It's not important. What is important is these kids have better lives because of it. I can give you another example. My grandson, his freshman year in college, at the end of his freshman year, he went with 20 other students to study abroad for 3 weeks, for which they got college credit, and 3 of their professors. These professors took them to a small community in rural Uganda that's in the middle of Africa. They'd never seen white people before, let alone Americans. Yet one of the professors was from there. The students didn't realize that till they found they were sitting in his father's living room. But they heard, my grandson hears a story about this fellow that took his wife the 3-day journey to the nearest medical clinic to deliver their baby. But he didn't have the equivalent of $5 to buy a delivery kit, so they refused to deliver the baby. So he tried to deliver his baby on the side of the road, and the baby and mother both died. That was more than my grandson could handle. He says, I'm going to spend the rest of my life seeing these people get a medical clinic. But when he agreed to do that, 6 of the other students agreed to help him, which meant the 3 professors had to get involved. And one of the students' father is in my Rotary Club, but he's very active and creative as an individual. And he was in charge of our international committee. So our Rotary Club agreed to help. So my grandson went back in January, found a Rotary Club over in Uganda that would supervise construction. They had an architect that could design the building and a contractor that told them how much they needed. He comes back in his second semester, sophomore year, raises the money while the other kids were trying to figure out all the other needs of what they can do. Well, that clinic opened a year and a half later, and one of the professors stopped back there, and there was this little baby, 2 months old, on an IV drip that had malaria and pneumonia. That child typically would die. That child's now 10 years old.
Wow.
And still living, and a happy child because my grandson made that decision. They'll never know who my grandson was. It doesn't matter to him. He can feel good about the fact that 30,000 people have medical service right within walking distance of them. and they have much better lives as a result. That's really what being fully alive is all about. It makes you feel better about yourself because you know you're doing good for the benefit of others.
Wonderful. Wonderful. It's a beautiful story to end this interview on. Your grandson is blessed to have a grandfather like you who has instilled wonderful values in him, and he has passed those on to others and is living a fully human, fully alive life. The name of the book is Fully Human, Fully Alive, fourth edition. And you can learn more about Lyle Simpson and his work at lylesimpson.com. Lyle, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I appreciate your time, your insight, and the wonderful work you've done on this book that is truly a gift to society. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time.